The Bermuda Triangle is a perfect storm for these deadly phenomena. The powerful currents of the Gulf Stream, combined with converging storms from the north and south, create a lethal combination that can generate waves powerful enough to snap even the toughest ships in two.
Imagine booking a cruise to the Bahamas. Sunshine, cocktails, Instagram posts. What you don't realize is that your ship is cutting directly across the Bermuda Triangle, a region that has swallowed more than 1,000 ships and planes, and an estimated 2,000 lives, without leaving behind a single piece of wreckage. That's more lives than 4 Titanics combined. And unlike the Titanic, which lies on the ocean floor as proof of its sinking, many of these Bermuda Triangle disappearances have left nothing behind. No wreckage, no distress call, no bodies, just silence. The Bermuda Triangle isn't a tiny patch of ocean. It's enormous. About 500,000 square miles of water between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. To put that in perspective, it's bigger than Texas and nearly the size of India. Millions of people fly over it or sail across it every year. Statistically, most make it through without incident. But the cases that don't? Those are the ones that built the legend. So what makes this one corner of the Atlantic Ocean so notorious? Why has it become the world's most famous maritime graveyard? And what have scientists recently discovered that adds a new, chilling layer to the mystery? To answer that, we need to rewind, all the way back to one of the first men bold enough to cross these waters, Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Columbus sailed westward in search of a route to Asia. He doesn't find Asia, he finds the New World. But in the process, his logbook records something very strange while passing through the waters we now call the Bermuda Triangle. One night, Columbus and his crew see what he describes as a great flame of fire crashing into the sea. Historians argue over whether this was a meteor of some kind or volcanic activity, but the crew was terrified. A few days later, Columbus notes a strange glow of light in the distance, hovering and flickering before disappearing. Then his compass begins acting erratic. At the time, sailors relied on compasses the way we rely on GPS today. When the compass fails, panic spreads, because without direction, you're essentially blind in the open ocean. Columbus doesn't record the crew mutinying or fleeing, but the seeds of suspicion are planted. These waters behave differently. Centuries pass and sailors begin whispering about this region. They call it the Devil's Triangle, a place where ships sail but don't return. Back then, navigation errors were common, storms unpredictable, and records spotty. But even accounting for those, the Triangle racks up a reputation faster than other regions of ocean. Ships vanish without distress calls. Sailors claim to see glowing waters, spinning compasses, and horizons that don't look right. By the late 19th century, newspapers began reporting these disappearances with sensational headlines. Ghost ships, sea swallows crew whole, phantom waters. The legend snowballs. By the 20th century, with radios, radars, and modern engines, disappearances should be less frequent. But instead, they continue, sometimes with even stranger details. And that's what cements the Bermuda Triangle as more than just sailors' superstition. It's not just wooden ships being dashed on rocks in the age of exploration. It's steel warships and commercial airlines in the modern era, vanishing under conditions that should have been completely safe. By the mid-1990s, aviation booms. Thousands of planes cut across the triangle on their way from North America to the Caribbean. For most, it's a routine flight. But for a few, it's the last flight they ever take. These disappearances stack up. Dozens of ships, dozens of aircraft, some carrying hundreds of passengers at a time. By the time researchers start cataloging the cases, the Triangle isn't just infamous, it's legendary. And here's the kicker. Many of these disappearances leave behind no wreckage at all. No debris washing up on beaches. No oil slicks on the water. Nothing. As if the vessels were erased from reality itself. Which brings us to the scientists. For decades, researchers have tried to explain this mystery. Weather patterns, rogue waves, methane bubbles, pilot error, even aliens. Most cases, they say, can be explained by natural phenomena. But the problem is, not all of them can. And it's those stubborn, unexplained cases that continue to keep the Bermuda Triangle alive in our imaginations. Because if the triangle is truly just another patch of ocean, why do the stories keep coming? Why do experienced pilots report their instruments spinning out of control? Why do giant ships vanish in calm seas? Why are there radar records of planes that just blink out of existence? And more importantly, why are there survivors who swear something unnatural happened to them out there? The Bermuda Triangle isn't built on rumors alone. Its reputation is cemented by real, documented disappearances, cases that defy logic even decades later. USS Cyclops, 1918. It's World War II. The USS Cyclops, a massive Navy collier, sets out from Brazil, carrying 10,000 tons of manganese ore, a cargo critical for steelmaking. On board are 306 crew members. The ship is 542 feet long, longer than 2 football fields, and nicknamed the Navy's workhorse. But somewhere between Barbados and Baltimore, the Cyclops simply vanishes. No distress signal, no SOS, nothing. Search efforts find zero wreckage, not even a life vest. To this day, the Cyclops remains the largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. Navy history. Think about that. We've recovered the Titanic. We've located submarines miles under the Arctic. We've even found Apollo wreckage on the ocean floor. But not the Cyclops. It's as if the ocean swallowed it whole. Flight 19, 1945. Fast forward to December 5, 1945. 5 Navy Avenger bombers, call sign Flight 19, take off from Florida on a routine training mission. 14 men in total. 2 hours in, their radio transmission turned frantic. One pilot says, "We can't tell where we are. Everything looks strange, even the ocean." Another reports both compasses have failed. They're disoriented, flying in circles. Hours pass. Fuel runs low. Their last transmission is chilling. "We can't hold altitude. We're out of gas." Then, silence. The Navy scrambles a rescue plane, 13 men on board. Within minutes of takeoff, that rescue plane also vanishes. No distress call, no wreckage, no oil slick. In one night, 27 men disappeared into thin air. The official Navy report states they vanished as if they had flown to Mars. Star Tiger and Star Ariel, 1948 to 1949. Commercial aviation doesn't escape the triangle either. On January 30th, 1948, a British South American Airways plane called the Star Tiger departs from the Azores en route to Bermuda. 51 people aboard. The weather is calm. The plane radios a routine message, then disappears. No wreckage ever found. A year later, almost to the day, another plane from the same airline, the Star Ariel, vanishes with 20 people on board. Again, no distress call. Again, no debris. 2 commercial passenger planes, 71 lives, gone without a trace. Douglas DC-3, 1948. That same year, a Douglas DC-3 is flying from Puerto Rico to Miami with 32 people on board. It radios its position just 50 miles from landing. Then, silence. The plane never arrives. The Coast Guard launches one of the largest searches in history at the time. Nothing. Not a single scrap of wreckage. 32 people vanished just 20 minutes away from safety. Witchcraft Yacht, 1967. Not all disappearances involve massive ships or planes. Sometimes it's smaller, quieter, and even creepier. December 22, 1967, a 23-foot cabin cruiser named Witchcraft leaves Miami with 2 men on board. Just 1 mile offshore, the boat calls the Coast Guard, reporting a strange problem. The operator says they're safe, not sinking, but need a tow. Within 20 minutes, the Coast Guard arrives. The boat is gone. What makes this case especially bizarre is that the yacht was equipped with flotation devices, life jackets, and was basically unsinkable in calm seas. Yet it vanished completely. No wreckage, no bodies, just gone. The running tally. These aren't isolated incidents. According to Lloyd's of London and U.S. Navy statistics, over 75 planes and more than 100 ships have disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle in the past century. That's an extraordinary number when compared to other heavily trafficked regions of ocean. Statistically, the Triangle's disappearance rate is higher than the world average, and what makes it chilling isn't just the numbers. It's the pattern. Calm weather, no distress calls, no wreckage. It's the silence that makes the Triangle legendary. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, the media latches on to these mysteries. Books and TV specials dubbed the region the graveyard of the Atlantic. Insurance companies even consider raising rates for ships passing through. And while skeptics argue many of these disappearances can be explained, storms, navigation errors, piracy, the fact remains, other oceans don't inspire this level of fear. Because no matter how rational the explanations sound, the Bermuda Triangle still holds on to secrets. The theories. So what's really happening inside the Bermuda Triangle? Let's break down the leading theories. Magnetic anomalies. The Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where magnetic north and true north align. This can cause compasses to behave unpredictably, especially before GPS. Disorientation in open ocean is deadly, but anomalies continue to be reported even where this alignment doesn't apply, suggesting something more. Methane hydrate eruptions. Massive deposits of methane hydrate lie beneath the seafloor. If released, bubbles rise, decreasing water density, causing ships to sink instantly. Lab tests in Norway proved the effect. Bursts could also affect planes by disrupting engine performance. Rogue waves. Sudden waves over 100 feet tall have been recorded. That's a 10-story wall of water. These can snap even modern ships. Plausible, but they don't erase wreckage. Hexagonal clouds and air bombs. In 2016, satellites detected massive hexagonal cloud patterns. Meteorologists suggested these could generate 170-mile-per-hour wind blasts, enough to rip planes from the sky and slam them into the ocean. Electronic fog and time slips. Bruce Gernon's 1970 story remains one of the strangest. His plane traveled 100 miles in 3 minutes after entering a vortex-like cloud. Instruments failed, radar lost him, then he reappeared. If true, it suggests time distortion. Atlantis, aliens, and wormholes. Fringe theories, submerged ruins like the Bimini Road, UFO sightings, and even dimensional gateways add spice to the legend. Science dismisses them, but mystery thrives where evidence is thin. The second twist, time distortion. Gernon's case and others like it give rise to the most chilling possibility. The Bermuda Triangle may not just sink ships, it may bend time. Pilots report losing hours. Sailors swear their clocks don't match the outside world. These aren't easily explained by storms or rogue waves. What if the Triangle isn't just a dangerous ocean passage, but a crack in time itself? Modern investigations. NOAA says, nothing unusual, just storms and human error. But satellites show violent hexagonal cloud formations, Sonar mapping reveals methane craters big enough to sink ships. And pilots still report bizarre electrical fog and compass malfunctions. So the official story is nothing's wrong. Yet the anomalies keep stacking up. Why so little wreckage? The ocean floor here is a jagged maze of trenches, some over 27,000 feet deep, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Wreckage may simply fall beyond recovery. But then why do ships vanish just miles offshore, in shallow water, with no debris? That part remains unsolved. The Bermuda Triangle today. On paper, it's safe. Planes fly through daily. Cruises pass without incident. But the legend remains alive. And even now, news stories of malfunctions, glowing waters, and strange fog continue to trickle in. The ocean that watches. The Bermuda Triangle is more than just geography. It's a reminder that even in the 21st century, with satellites in space and GPS in our pockets, there are still places on Earth where the rules bend. Maybe it's methane, maybe it's magnetic fields, maybe it's something stranger, time itself unraveling. So the question is simple. If someone offered you a free cruise directly through the Bermuda Triangle, would you go? Because the scariest thing about the Triangle isn't the ships it swallows or the planes it steals. The scariest thing is that it doesn't take everyone. It only takes some. And you never know if you'll be next.